How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys Alex and Ryan. So today we got two episodes for you. The other one will be coming out right after this. And hope you guys are having a good start to your holiday. Spend time with family and friends. Stay safe out there. Enjoy some gifts and good vibes and energy sending to you guys from the FSY crew. So much love and appreciate you guys tuning in even on Christmas Eve. So appreciate that as always. And we're talking about Jasson Dominguez. And Jasson Dominguez has obviously went through interesting last couple months, Tommy John surgery, trying to work his way back, and so far so good. Things look like they're trending in the right direction. In fact, Aaron Boone had a pretty great review of this. We're going to talk about that, what we think his role will be in 2024 and where we think he can make an impact in the future. So Aaron Boone said, I'm optimistic it'll be sooner rather than later that he'll be back. He isn't throwing yet. It's obviously something we're not going to rush, and we're going to make sure he's in a good spot when he's ready. But when he gets to spring training, he's going to look a lot like a regular player, and that's really, really good news because that means he'll be available probably toward the earlier part of his timetable for return, could be in June. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Aaron Boone's comments regarding Jasson Dominguez, his progress through rehab already, and how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I mean, look, as you mentioned with the news with Dominguez there, that's huge, right? I know that people are concerned about how he's going to look coming back from Tommy John surgery, and I agree. There is some concern. Hey, what is the power going to look like? I'm pretty sure Bryce Harper went like a month without hitting a home run pretty early into his return, but the thing that Jasson Dominguez has going for him that I want people to realize is the swing decisions. And I think this makes up his profile. This is what makes him, not just a talented player or a player with a lot of upside, but a legitimate major league hitter. And it's it's the swing decisions, right? His O swing rate, which is your chase rate, was below 25% across AAA and the major leagues, which is where we have accurate StatCast data. I know this is a small sample size, but again, still interesting that he did put up these type of numbers and he did put up these swing decisions. And it's like swing decisions are something that, just randomly get worse or randomly change. Your ability to see the ball is your ability to see the ball. His zone swing rate, which is also important here, right? You don't just want a hitter who never swings. You want a hitter who doesn't swing at balls, but swings at strikes. That number was over 70% at both AAA and the major leagues. So, Alex was talking about a hitter who knows the strike zone, has an advanced feel of the strike zone. And we're talking about a team that needs a leadoff hitter. And I think Jasson Dominguez brings that for sure. He has the exact skill set you're looking for a guy who is going to set the table for your team. He has the power to, provide enough to not just be some slap hitter. He pulls the ball enough as well. Getting the ball in the air has been difficult for him, but, kind of leading off would allow him to kind of alleviate some of those issues. Also, I'm saying he had issues lifting the ball, but we did not see any issues lifting the ball at the major league level. He hit 4 home runs in 8 games, and God knows how many of those he played on a torn UCL. So, look, obviously, I still think that ground balls are going to be his profile. He has a very contact kind of oriented approach. He is a guy who likes to go out and put the ball in play, and that's part of his game. Making good swing decisions, again, that's something that's part of his game. But I think you're seeing a hitter who could be, a 20 to 25 home run hitter. I'm not thinking, I don't view him as like the 40 to 45 home run guy. I'm not trying to compare him to Soto here, but like Soto's a great hitter, but it's not because he leads the league in home runs, right? Like he has a career high of 35, but he's still a generational hitter. It's more so the hit tool and the on base percentage that kind of anchor that profile. And that's the same thing with Dominguez here. Again, not comparing him to Juan Soto, just saying that is another hitter who has similar, that type of, is in that kind of mold of elite type of hitters where he goes out and he does it through his OBP. I think Dominguez would be a similar type of hitter. And then, of course, the speed. He stole 40 bases this past season, was only caught 8 times. Alex, if you have that type of threat leading off, if he gets on base, which he's shown the ability to work really good counts, he's shown the ability to be patient, he's shown the ability to be a smart hitter. If he goes out there and he walks, let's say 10 to 12% of the time, and his OBP settles around 350, 360. You have that leading off. You have Judge hitting second or Soto hitting second. I would probably hit Soto second, just because I think Judge, again, he's a better home run hitter. Soto's a more disciplined hitter. However you want to do that, though, you have Judge and or Soto back to back. Right? That's, for pitchers, that's impossible to deal with. And then, of course, Dominguez, he will steal. He will go ahead and swipe second base, and he'll do it aggressively. He'll do it time and time again. He's effective. He's efficient. He doesn't get caught often. He's got excellent speed. Maybe he profiles more for a corner outfield spot. That's definitely where I see him going forward. But, we've been kind of alluding to here, it's kind of like these two are tied at the hip almost because of the fact that I think they're going to be major league players, impact players, right around the same time. And that's Spencer Jones, who I think will be the Yankee center fielder eventually. Judge seems really inclined to play center. center. I know that people are like, it's a dumb idea. How's his body going to hold up? We'll see how his body holds up. But, he's gotten injured playing right field. I mean, he crashed into the wall in the outfield, not playing center, playing right. So, it's not like this is a guy who's consistently gotten injured because he's played center field. In fact, the time he played center field the most, which was 2022, that was arguably his healthiest season. He didn't have any time, he's dealing with this, there's an ailment, needs to be pulled from the game, none of that. He was completely healthy, full bill of health. So, Alex, I think we're talking about a guy who projects as a top of the lineup guy in Dominguez, and a guy who could be really exciting. He's 20 years old, right? 20 years old. Like, he's going to be 21. He can't drink yet. He's a year older than me. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And look, the truth is, Jasson Dominguez, there's a reason the Yankees have held on to him for so long. We've heard many a rumor about teams looking to acquire Jasson Dominguez, whether it was for Luis Castillo or anybody else. This is a guy that we've been holding on for a reason. This is someone that Brian Cashman has taken off the table for a reason. They think this guy could be a superstar. And listen, you don't see 20-year-old kids step into major league settings and hit home runs off a Hall of Fame level pitchers like Justin Verlander. It doesn't happen. Like you mentioned Juan Soto in the comparisons, that's something that Juan Soto would do. Walk into a situation where he's 20 years old, never played a game in the MLB, or played one or two, and then launches a homer off of freaking Justin Verlander, okay? This is a different type of kid. We talk about what it takes to play in New York, what it takes to handle the criticism. That kid has it. That kid's got the mental capacity, the fortitude, the confidence to, just shun any hostility or aggression toward him. We've seen players fail because of that hostility, fail because of that negative attention. This kid thrives off of it, man. You want to know something else? He stepped into Houston away and hit a home run. I think he had 2 home runs there. Like, the guy is, you don't see that. We've talked about how many times that Yankee players have failed to hit in clutch moments, failed to hit against rivals in their home, in their house. Dominguez did it at 20 years old as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's an indication of what his potential is. That's why he's our number one prospect, in our opinion. At FSY, that's our number one guy. We love Spencer Jones. We just think Dominguez is, he's just a little bit better right now. But you mentioned it, right? This is a player that could get on base at a 35% clip in the MLB. Now, he obviously, that dipped a bit. It started high of the first couple games in the MLB, but then it tapered off a little. Ended up with, I think he had an on-base percentage of about 300, over the 8 games he played with four homers, hit 258, 677 slugging rate. This is a special player. He had a 162 WRC plus. This is a really special guy who, should not be taken for granted. I think that, I'm curious to your thoughts, though, about his defensive, lineup. Like, where you think he actually profiles defensively. If you think that he's going to end up playing in left field. I know Verdugo obviously is like a 1-year deal. Do you think that Jasson Dominguez ends up slotting into left field in the future, or do you think he actually goes back to center?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's definitely going to be a question that they have to ask, right? Like, hey, what exactly are you going to get from Jasson Dominguez defensively? I don't think he profiles extremely well for center field. He's kind of consistently been an okay at best defensive center fielder. More likely than not, he is a below average defensive center fielder. I hate to kind of put that out there because, well, obviously I don't want to just dim the light. It's Christmas Eve. I don't want to be like, hey, Jasson Dominguez can't do this, can't do that. But defense is obviously a question here. And, looking a little bit at his arm strength, he did max out. He did have a throw at 98.9 miles an hour. So, considering he had a literal torn UCL, going to consider his arm strength solid. Going to say that he can get it up there in terms of arm strength. Can he profile well for left field? Absolutely. We don't need a guy who's going to go out and win gold gloves in left. We just need a guy who can play the position and not look like Franchi Cordero, Isaiah kind of Falefa out there, which is a very low bar, but, it is what it is. This is a guy who's going to hit his way into a major league lineup every single day, right? Like, that's the reality of it. This also does put pressure on Giancarlo Stanton because the DH spot is clogged up. He's got to perform, and if he doesn't perform, well, Jasson Dominguez is right there, right? Trent Grisham obviously can profile in center field if the Yankees choose to, DH, Dominguez and go Judge and Soto in the corners. Now, another big thing here is, again, as you mentioned with Alex Verdugo, is Alex Verdugo here beyond 2024? Probably not. And while he's here, if he doesn't play well, how long does he get to kind of recoup his value? Let's say that Jasson Dominguez is back in June and Alex Verdugo's WRC plus is 98 in June. It's not low enough where he's killing you, but it's not high enough to justify playing him over Dominguez every day, right? So it's like, what do you really do there? And also, he's a plus defender there. So, like, you can say, hey, he's about a league average player. Is Jasson Dominguez going to outplay a league average player? Should you take that risk of pissing off Verdugo? I mean, who knows, right? Like, I really, that is a question that Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman are going to have to answer. And I'm glad I don't have to answer that question, that I can just kind of sit here behind a podcast and, throw takes out there, and none of them have consequences on how good my team will be next year. But, end of the day, I do think that Jasson Dominguez ends up in a corner outfield spot. Now, potentially there's a way for him to get better in the outfield. Maybe it's a matter of routes. Maybe the Yankees can develop that skill. Maybe he can just be average out there. Again, like, if he's an average defender, I don't need Harrison Bader defense if you're giving me a 120 WRC plus. But at the same time, right, like, Soto would be playing left, so that's already a black hole defensively there. He's not a good defensive outfielder. There's a reason the Yankees need to put him in right field. And then Judge would be in right. Judge is obviously a great defensive right fielder, but I don't know if that defensive alignment necessarily works for you. If the bats are good enough, I guess they won't care. Honestly, I'd rather just have a really sound defensive infield, right? Like, I'll take, okay, we have Volpe at short. Glaber isn't a great defender, but he's not like the worst defender in the world. It's not like he's, again, Franchi Cordero in left field type bat. He's more like, yeah, he'll make some errors. You have Rizzo at first, Gold Glove caliber defender. DJ LeMahieu / Oswald Peraza are both plus defenders at third. So, you feel pretty good about their defense. And behind the dish, you have, Jose Trevino, platinum glove, like best defensive catcher in baseball. And Austin Wells looks to be like, he's okay, right? And I'll take he's okay over what else we have going on there. So end of the day, like, as long as the bats are good enough, I think you can live with Dominguez in center. But I think preferably you find a way to put him in a corner outfield spot. Because again, kind of referencing Spencer Jones here, and again, I think that these two players kind of are more tied at the hip than people think because of the fact that Jones is such a good defensive center fielder. And he could be a really good prospect. Like, if Spencer Jones clicks, he's immediately playing center field. This is a guy who could go out and have 6 or 7 defensive runs saved, put up a 130 WRC plus, and hit 35 to 40 home runs. Like, that's obviously a very optimistic outcome. That's like the best case scenario, but that's certainly within that realm of possibility, right? More ideally, it's thinking more like a plus defender, 110 WRC plus, something of that range. That's still better than what we're used to having in center field. So it's a question of what Jones is. It's a question of what Judge does in center field. It's a question of what Verdugo and Grisham are. Dominguez's role is going to be determined by what the Yankees need, I think. It's not a matter as much of, what he wants, not what he wants, what the Yankees want him to do versus what the Yankees are going to need him to do. And we don't know what that looks like yet. We don't know who's going to struggle. We don't know who's going to get hurt. There are a lot of questions about this team still that we'll have to wait to answer mid-season. And it's nice to say Dominguez is not a guy you need to put in left field. That's another big thing here, too. You don't necessarily have to say, Jasson Dominguez, if you don't come back and play left field, we don't have a left fielder. That's huge, right? Like, that's massive. We have a fourth outfielder with or without Dominguez. We have Pereira with or without Dominguez. We have Jones with or without Dominguez, right? So when Dominguez comes back, he'll be plugged in if he's needed, and he'll be put in AAA if he's not. So that's kind of the situation they're in. But long story short, put him in left field probably, but if it comes down to it, I'm not upset with him in center.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how they kind of operate. Obviously, with that arm coming off the Tommy John, we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of questions still remaining, but he's progressing really nicely, and that's all we can hope for at this point in time. So, guys, always happy to hear your thoughts below in the comment section about Jasson Dominguez, his growth, his potential, his future, what you think he ends up doing. Obviously, we're very high on him. We love him as a player, love him as a prospect. We're excited to see him. The kid's 20 years old. Keep that in mind, how young he is. That's special talent we haven't even cracked the surface of. I think he's 2 years younger than Everson Pereira, and Everson Pereira is young at 22. So it's like, just think about how crazy this guy could really be. But always happy to hear your thoughts down below. Make sure to stay safe. Enjoy the holidays. We'll have another episode coming out right after this for you guys. So if you're looking for something to do a little bit bored, we got you covered here on Fireside Yankees. Appreciate the love as always. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.